Now, over the past 7 days, a total number of 10 bushfires have been reported from various parts of the island.
According to the Disaster Management Centre, a majority of these fires are not natural fires.
That's right, Chanali. The Assistant Director of the DMC, Pradeep Kodipilli, says that arsonists set fire to the forests during the dry weather season.
The most recent bushfire was recorded from the Rahatankanda Forest Reserve in Buttala. According to the forest conservation officers, over 200 acres of land have been destroyed by the raging fires. Our correspondent said that the Sri Lanka Army, the police, the Civil Defence Force, wildlife officers and locals took great efforts to contain the spread of the blaze. Several bushfires were reported from the Ratnapura, Badulla and Monragala districts during the past week. Prior to the bushfire at the Rahatankanda Forest Reserve, a fire was reported from the Non-Perial Mount Reserve in Horton Plains, where over 600 acres of land was destroyed. A fire was also reported from Pin Arawa in Alla, Badulla early this week. 21st August 2013, Rahatankanda Forest Reserve, Buttala, over 200 acres of land destroyed. 16th August 2013, Non-Perial Forest Reserve, Horton Plains, over 600 acres of land destroyed. 17th August 2013, Pinnarawa Reserve, over 200 acres of land destroyed.
කඳුකරේ වැස්ස අඩුවීම වියලි සුළං ප්‍රවාහය නිසා සාමාන්‍ය යම් කිසි විදියකින් කැලෑවල ගිනි ගැනීම.
Be it a natural fire or arson, there is a risk of the fire spreading due to reduced rainfall in the central hills and the dry winds. We need to be focused during this time. August is a period where there is less rain. We consider it as a dry month.
වැසි අඩු කාලයක් වියලි මාසයක් හැටියට තමයි අපි සැලකිලිට ගන්නෙ.
The Disaster Management Centre says that a majority of the fires that were reported in the past were not natural fires. Reports we have received are forests being set alight. A majority of the fires were reported from the Monragala district. A similar situation was reported from Badulla as well. Through the District Disaster Management Centre, we have informed the public to remain vigilant. Forests being set alight will lead to serious issues. The Disaster Management Centre requests public support and cooperation to protect the environment. Environmentalists point out that the destruction of the environment will have grave consequences. We know that the endemic biodiversity that we have in the central hills is sensitive to humidity and the moisture of the soil. Forest fires can cause species to move away from these reserves or even put them at risk of extinction.
ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒ පරිසරයෙන් ඉවත් වෙනවා එහෙම නැත්නම් ගොඩක් වෙලාට වඳ වී යෑමේ හැකියාවක් පෙන්නනවා.
On to some news from the House of Legislation. Minister of Transport Kumara Walgama had an interesting response today to a question posed by an opposition member. Let's take a look.
I'll respond because of the love I have for him. We are like uncle and nephew. The nephew keeps asking questions from the uncle. Therefore I will answer. He is very close to us and a very good parliamentarian. Since Dasiri Jayasekara is no longer there, he can come into the leadership one day. I do not know whether I will be around then. Dasiri will come forward now. I do not think he will have a problem. If his aura is good, he will come forward. If his score is good, he will come forward. Johnny is a minister in our cabinet now. He has no further to go. He came and our president treated him well. The opposition leader did not treat him well.
Johnny ඇවිල්ලා අපේ කැබිනට් ඇමතිතුමෙක්නේ. එතුමාට ආයෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. එයා ඇවිල්ලා ඉවරයි. එයාට හොඳට සැලකුවා අපේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා. විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා නම් සැලකුවේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ඇයි ඒක විපක්ෂ නායකතුමාට ගන්න බැරිුනේ කාර්යභාරය? ඒකනේ මම.
Why couldn't the opposition leader do this? That is my question. The opposition leader did not make use of the talent. That is what happened. The president could do this as he did it. So what are we to do about it?
Now on to one of our headline-making stories. According to the latest report from Comscore, Yahoo has topped Google as the most visited website in the US in the last month.
Yes, now according to the report, Yahoo received 196.6 million unique visitors last month compared to 192.3 million for Google.
This is the first time Yahoo has returned to the top spot for US web traffic since May 2011.
Now the traffic haul does not include data from Tumblr acquired by Yahoo earlier this year for $1 billion. Saad Fonseca, the leader of the Democratic Party, notes that pursuing higher education has become a suicidal war.
Now, Fonseca expressed these views at a meeting held in Galagedara.
An election rally organised by the Democratic Party was held in Udahena, Galagedara this morning. Your children will have to face these problems in the future. Only 1 in 10 children can receive higher education. Amid numerous problems, pursuing a higher education has now turned into a suicidal war. Fonseca also remarked on an instance where problems had arisen with regard to allocating a location for a Democratic Party meeting. This country has become so corrupt that a field cannot be obtained to hold a meeting. We had scheduled a meeting in Naula yesterday, but they did not give us the grounds. They said there was a cricket match to be played on the grounds. We went there at 6 p.m. on the same day and no cricket match had been played. The corrupt police officer who is in charge of that area, the police officer who has been entrusted with the security of the people there, threatened to arrest us if we came to Naula.
Globalization is an undeniable fact of the modern world. Our lives are becoming increasingly intertwined with the lives of people who sometimes live halfway across the globe.
But unchecked, does globalization rather actually benefit social groups that should benefit from increased connectivity in the globe?
Tonight on our segment Words of Wisdom, we look at the thoughts of anti-apartheid hero, Nobel Peace Prize laureate and former South African President Nelson Mandela on the subject of globalization.
Where globalization means, as it so often does, that the rich and powerful now have new means to further enrich and empower themselves at the cost of the poor and weaker. We have a responsibility to protest in the name of universal freedom. Former South African President Nelson Mandela.
You're watching the news at 9 on MTV Sports. Up next is Action TV.
Although steps have been taken to construct pavements and renovate roads facilitating transport in Colombo or motorists and pedestrians alike, there are still key locations in the city where pedestrians and motorists face tragedy. These visuals bear testament to the chaotic situation that arises at the junction of Ward Place and Kinsey Road in Colombo when the roads are busy.
And the traffic lights are not synchronized. There's chaos because all the lights come on at the same time. And another danger is that there's an old electricity box in front of which there's a big hole on the road and the pavement side. It's inconveniencing all the pedestrians and also endangering their life, because when it rains those holes get filled and all our attempts to the electricity board have no avail.
With the broadening and raising of Ward Place recently, pedestrians who were already inconvenienced due to the lack of a pedestrian crossing at this location now find that the pavement too is unsafe. About 2 months prior, the Ceylon Automobile Association requested the Police Traffic Division to resolve the chaotic situation that arises at this junction. Following the broadening and raising of Ward Place, it became impossible to open the door of the transformer that is located near the junction. As an alternative, the competent authorities have dug around the transformer, placing passers-by at risk. On the 20th of July, a street sweeper in Colombo was electrocuted to death as he attempted to clean around a transformer in a similar situation. While taking steps to beautify the city of Colombo, the nation's commercial hub, shouldn't steps also be taken to ensure the safety of its citizens on the city's roads? Municipal Commissioner of Colombo, this is over to you.
Sonali, the police headquarters today released several photographs of a number of persons who are suspected to be linked to the recent robbery at a financial institution in the Gampaha Police Division.
Yes, Nadim, and the police have offered a cash reward of 1 million rupees to anyone who comes forward with credible information on the suspects.
Now, the police say that the thieves made off with cash and jewellery amounting to about 16,880,600 rupees.
The communique issued by the police says that any information regarding the persons whose faces were recorded in the CCTV system at the financial institution can be provided by contacting the following numbers.
Those numbers are for the DIG in charge of the Western Province North Region, 0777 923 922 and 011 29 11197. On to more news. Former UNP General Secretary Sirisena Kure says that the character of late President R. Premadasa, who came into leadership by winning the hearts of the people without birthright, is a character that should be studied by all people.
Sirisena Kure notes that while most leaders in this country came into leadership because of family backgrounds and birthright, R. Premadasa changed the status quo and became president as a people's leader. I can fearlessly say that every child in this country should study the character of R. Premadasa. In order to become a leader in this country, there are a number of qualifications. You must be a major personality. I will not mention these qualifications. Everyone knows them. In the past, leaders were from major families, wealthy and hereditary. Premadasa was a man who became a leader without any of these things. Now I can see that the election campaign starts once the nominations are granted. Organizers are chosen when an election is announced. Where is the time to organize? There is no time to organize. So they do things in a haphazard fashion and are then defeated. This is not done. The United National Party is a powerful party. Even today, there are people who say they will support the UNP even if it brings them death. Everyone knows that I steered the presidential campaign. It was our organization that put up a poster across all of Sri Lanka noting who was doing what. Within an hour, the people of an entire town opened the doors to their homes and a meeting was held. It was the first meeting. I was informed later that Vijay Veera too had come to the meeting and had listened.
It is now time for the newspaper cartoon of the day, which we selected from amongst the English newspapers of today.
On to business news tonight. The Sri Lankan rupee has fallen to its lowest figure against the dollar in 11.5 months. Now, according to Reuters news agency, the dollar rose to 132 rupees and 20 cents in forex trading yesterday.
The Reuters report notes that the Sri Lankan rupee could depreciate further against the US dollar. The report notes that one of the key factors for the depreciation of the rupee is increased imported demand for the greenback. The Reuters report, quoting dealers, also notes that there is heavy depreciation pressure because foreigners are gradually pulling out of T-bonds in small quantities. An increase in US Treasury yields has also contributed to this. Issuing a press release on external sector performance, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka remarked on exchange rate behavior over the past few weeks, specifically the depreciation of the rupee against the dollar. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka notes that as of today, the rupee had depreciated 3.5% against the US dollar. The CBSL attributes this depreciation to the strengthening of the US dollar in international markets. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka adds that although the rupee has depreciated against the US dollar, it has strengthened against major currencies including the Japanese yen, the Indian rupee and the Australian dollar, while remaining flat against the sterling pound.